And we are live.
Oh,
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Gravity Max live stream. And as you can see, unfortunately, Gravity Max himself isn't here. It's just me, Sebastian, 128 seconds. But I'm joined by Derek, our guest for today. So thanks for being here, Derek.
yep, no problem.
So, we're going to do what we usually do. We're going to get through some plugs, and then we're going to talk about our topic for the day, which I'm looking forward to. I think it's a pretty good one, and it fits with our theme this season of intensity and extremity. So, I finally got my mouse to work, or at least the capture, because it no longer captures my cursor. I don't believe you can see my cursor the over the slides, which is fantastic. Um, but if the resolution to this video looks off, I do apologize. Because I'm like the one running this, I'm not really able to check in and make sure that it works. I am gonna have the chat up, and so I can look at the video like out of the corner of my eye. But if the resolution is off, I am sorry about that. But I'm looking at it and it looks all right. So I think we can just get into it. So first off, we're gonna go through the plugs, and then we're gonna get into what we're talking about today. So as always, remember to visit the Gravity Max website and follow Gravity Max on all those forms of social media: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and we also have a Patreon if you want to throw some cash at us, and if you do, we'll give you something special. So there you go. All right. Follow me. I make great videos. I'm 128 seconds on YouTube, on Instagram, and on Twitter, although I'm not really active on my Twitter. But on my YouTube channel, I make short educational videos that last 128 seconds, and I do a wide variety of topics, but you always learn something coming out of any of those videos. So, next up, Max's book is now out, and you can check out the link in the description. It's called A Bottled Up Flame. It is a sequel to his previous book, A Truly Dead Rock, and I think it's pretty good. You should definitely check it out. So, our topic for today is extreme sports, comedically titled Our Daily Routine. Now, neither Max or I do sports currently. I'm in debate, but that's not a sport. But Derek is. Derek does. I know you do diving, and I know you did.
Yep. I did parkour.
Parkour.
Yeah.
Right. So we're gonna get into talking about those, and then we're just gonna talk about a lot of other extreme sports, and we're just gonna discuss like what we would least like to do out of these, what we would like never do, or what we want to do. So going right into it, we're just going to go through a bunch of extreme sports, and then we're going to go into the most extreme sport competition, which is, of course, the Olympics. So, extreme sports. There's regular sports, little hockey, little baseball, little football, stuff like that. But some people want a little bit more, and so we get extreme sports. People doing stuff at extremely high intensities. And here, I'll give you the definition of extreme sports right here. The definition of extreme sport is action sports, adventure sports, or extreme sports are activities perceived as involving a high degree of risk. These activities often involve speed, height, a high level of physical exertion, and highly specialized gear. I think that's a pretty good definition. All of these that we're going to be talking about involve at least like a high level of skill, or a high level of training needed, or just a high level of risk in general, because things can go bad. So, in honor of Derek, we're going to start off with diving. And I hit the wrong button. We're going to start off with diving. So,
All right.
yeah, do you want to talk about how you do diving competitively and how you're
Sure.
ranked?
So, at our school, I started doing diving last year, which was interesting because I had actually just started the year prior, and the reason why I had been able to get into to diving so easily was because for the past like 7 years I've been doing parkour and free running. So I've been like kind of getting used to like easily like manipulating my body into doing different things like flips, like twists and different things, and that's all that diving's about.
Mhm.
It's about like jumping off, like you said, in extreme sports. Like it's about height, skill, like risk.
Mhm.
Diving, it is like a very technical sport, which you're judged on how your dive looks, how many flips, rotations, and so it's very like skill based. And there's not a lot of physical exertion, but it's a whole mental thing because the better the flips or the better the tricks go, the scarier it is to do them.
Yeah.
So like,
Um,
and the higher you get, so like, there's a 1 meter board,
mhm.
5 meter, 10 meter, and obviously injuries can get worse as you go up.
Before the stream, you were telling me about where you would be ranked on the board in our high
Oh,
school.
oh yeah, in our high school, I think it was like our third meet. I got a new record for myself. It was like 227, and that's ranked sixth at our high school,
Yeah.
like overall.
So I didn't really know that diving was, like a competitive thing. I knew it was like obviously a part of swimming, but I looked into it, and like you were saying, like you got to be like you. There's form and there's a high level of risk because you are jumping from like like a very high height. You've been on a lot of different boards,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure you've seen. Have you seen a lot of injuries?
Um, Not so many injuries, but it's definitely possible. And you could hit the board, except the board itself propels you away from it, so it's
Mm.
quite difficult. But if you do hit it, it's a very hard board. So,
What do you think is the number one important thing to keep yourself safe when you're diving?
um, land on either your dive in with your hands above your head,
Hmm.
or land on your feet. Do not do anything in between because it can hurt a
Yeah.
lot, and I've experienced it both ways, landing like flat on my back and flat on my stomach.
Yeah. That's gotta hurt.
And so I actually did this during practice both times. I haven't really done it in a meet so far, which is great,
Mhm.
but it does hurt a lot. I did puncture my eardrum when I was doing a front 2.5, and I
Damn.
just completely face planted and just ruptured it.
Damn. Yeah. That sounds so painful, honestly. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
a lot
The
of impact.
Yeah, a lot of impact because of the surface tension of the water. If you hit the water incorrectly, that's gonna be like
Well, yeah.
smacking
Plus,
cement.
let's say you're at like a 1 meter board. That's a little ways off the water. Plus, you're also judged on the height you get. So you try and get up as high as possible
Mm.
off the board. And so, like 1 meter plus another meter, a meter and a half getting off the board, and then you land flat on your stomach. That's like jumping a story onto your stomach.
Yeah. Um, I used to do swimming for a little bit, but I never like I learned how to dive, but it was really just the standard like hands over your head and
Jump in
go
the
in.
pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I even managed to hurt myself just doing that. So I think that's the other thing about diving is that you need to know what you can do. Like Derek, you said you did free running and parkour before you went to diving. So
Yep.
you already knew that you were able to like do flips and you were able to you know how to land correctly.
Yes, I do.
Um,
It's a very important
yeah,
part.
if you get me on a 10-meter board, I 9 times out of 10 I am smacking that water like flat on my back. So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
With the different heights, it goes from like a 1 meter board, 3 meter.
Mhm.
There's also, and then from there on up, it doesn't. It's not boards anymore. It's platforms. So
Mm.
it's kind of like flat ground. It's a like, kind of like cliff jumping.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and cliff jumping's insane too.
Hmm.
Um, so you do diving. Do you also do swimming or do you just do diving?
Right now I'm doing water polo, which involves a lot of swimming.
Hmm.
But in the upcoming season this winter, I think I may do both swimming and diving. So that's
Mm,
what my brother's done, and I think I might do that as well.
yeah. What's the most complex thing that you've done jumping off of a diving board? Like what have you done like a double backflip or stuff like that? Or
hmm
I don't even know if that's like possible.
Um,
But what's the
yeah.
hardest thing you've had to do?
The hardest thing I've had to do was probably the front 2.5, which is two front flips and then another half rotation, and you dive it in, and
Wow.
that's off the 1 meter board. But I'm able to do it with a call. But when I did it without a call, I messed up my timing, and that's how I ruptured my eardrum.
Mm.
But you could do a lot of other things, like um, a really fun dive is an inward 1.5, which is where, if you look at the photo right now,
Mm-hmm.
that's the setup for either an inward or a back dive. An inward dive is where you jump off like that, facing the board, you jump backwards, and you do forward flips.
Mm.
So really fun one is an inward 1.5. You can do that in like either straight, piked, or tucked form, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of forms for diving. Like just a lot of stuff you can do because it's free fall. But it's almost like you have a mat, but you don't because it's just the water. But when we get to parkour, that's when you do have a mat, when you do parkour, the ground is it's like is it on springs for you?
Oh,
Like how there's a little
that's
bounce.
tricking.
That's
Tricking
tricking.
is, yeah.
Right.
That's like
Yeah. And
competitions
yeah,
with
we're going to
just
talk
a
about the
flat
difference
ground and
between those.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, diving easily fits into the extreme sport category because we saw with Derek's ruptured eardrum, if you fall wrong, you can just kill yourself all over the pool. But now we're going to talk about a different kind of diving. And this one also employs a high level of danger, but not due to. Well, I guess there's a certain level of form to it, but there's also some other issues with it or other threats. And we're talking about scuba diving. So, scuba diving is when you get in your scuba suit and you have um, tanks strapped to your back that are filled with air, like a mix of O2 and nitrogen. And as you can see in the picture, you have like flippers and like goggles and all that. So you have an entire suit that you wear. And as a diver, I have friends that do diving. As a diver, you need to be very accustomed with your gear because if something breaks, you need to know how to replace it underwater. If there's an issue, you need to know how to talk to your partner if you're under the water. Divers have a specific set of hand signals that they have to learn so they can communicate with their diving buddy because not everyone has radios in their suits, so they have to use basic hand signals to talk to their partner. Um,
Is
but
that like when
yeah,
let's say they get stuck in a coral that they were exploring, so they would need a signal to their partner or their diving buddy that to help them get out?
yeah, exactly. Anything like that. Like if they get an alert that their oxygen is running out, they can signal that. I don't know what the signal to that for that is, but they signal that to their partner, and if their partner has a decent amount of oxygen, they can actually just share oxygen, like via a tube or something like that. If they need to go up, they do the thumbs up. I know that's up, and then they go up usually together. But there's when you're going to an extreme depth, you need to start thinking about water pressure. Because if you rise up too fast from extremely high pressure to low pressure, like if you just shot straight up, that would cause air bubbles to form in your blood, and that's bad. That's really bad, just for your health, and it can knock you unconscious. So what you actually have to do is you go up a little bit and then you stop and you let your body get accustomed to the new pressure, and then you go up a little bit more and then you wait, and you do that all the way up to the top. That becomes an issue when if there's a serious problem with your gear or you need to get up quickly because then you're risking air bubbles forming in your bloodstream. So, like, for instance, if there's a shark out there and you need to, and you're trying to get away from the shark, you can't rise up. You have to go laterally because you don't want the air bubbles forming in your blood and stuff like that. But
Wait, have you
yeah.
actually gone scuba diving before?
I have not, but I know a lot of people who have. And I remember the story a while ago. I think this guy was talking about it on either Joe Rogan's podcast or a different podcast about how he got stranded in a cave because he was diving with a one of his diving buddies, and what had happened was they were connected to ropes and they went into a cave, and this cave has zero light. Like I remember
Completely pitch black.
yeah, completely pitch black. I remember one of my teachers last year, they made the point that you can't really experience true darkness unless you are in a cave or at the bottom of the sea. Because that is absolutely zero light. If you're just in your room with all the lights off and it's completely night, there is still a level of light getting into that room. But when you're in a cave, or you're at the bottom of the ocean, or you're decently underwater, there is literally zero light. So they go into this cave, legitimately zero light. They have flashlights and stuff like that, but really pitch blackness. And his diving buddy starts freaking out because he gets tangled in the rope. But the guy who's telling the story is a really good diver, and he's been doing this for like 20 years or something, however long he said. And so he was trying to calm the guy down. He was like, "Dude, come on, like you gotta chill out. You gotta stop thrashing and stuff." But the guy thrashed so much, which you were absolutely not supposed to do, that he ended up kicking the one of the walls of the cave, and that kicked up a lot of dust. So they couldn't see each other anymore because of all the dust that he was kicking up, and it spun both of them out of control. His buddy, the guy that was thrashing, actually managed to get out, but he didn't know that. So he was searching around for him in this cave, and then he gets lost in this cave, and he can't find the way out. So he's stuck in this cave, like in the water with limited oxygen. His oxygen tanks start running out. Thankfully, he was able to get out, but that was only because he felt like a crack in the wall that he thought would lead him out, and it did. But that just speaks to, you need to be in the right mindset, because that dude thrashing could have killed him. It
wastes oxygen, yeah, and it could have killed him.
And could have killed his partner. So you do need to be very careful with scuba diving, and a lot of people don't consider it to be an extreme sport. But when you think of all the training you need and all the equipment you need to be familiar with and all the things that can go wrong, like, it is easily an extreme sport. I would love to do scuba diving, if I could get accustomed to the gear and if I could get training and stuff, I would absolutely love to go scuba diving. Even though I'm completely afraid of the ocean, that's kind of why I would want to go scuba diving, so that I could like immerse myself and maybe be a little less afraid of it.
I'm completely afraid of like the huge drop-offs at like the coral reefs.
Dude,
it's just
those
terrifying.
Scare me so much. Oh my god, no, like the ocean is the scariest place on earth, like, because like a lot of people don't realize that it is directly equivalent. If you put a fish on land, that fish is as helpless as a human in the ocean. Like, it is directly equivalent. So, like, the ocean does scare the hell out of me and stuff, but I feel like if I could, get super accustomed with the gear and all that stuff, then I could feel like I have a little bit of control, but even then, it's like, no, you don't. I used to be a stronger swimmer. I used to be a stronger swimmer than I am now, so I would have to get back into doing that. Derek, you're obviously a super strong swimmer, and your brother is too, so you guys would probably do better than I would.
Well, doesn't really mean you don't need to be a great swimmer for scuba diving, but you just need to know how to use your equipment, your fins, and just be able to move around the water without the use of too much energy and oxygen.
Yeah. But that's the thing, you can't panic. And
Yeah.
I feel like I would be decent at that because I can not panic, but I don't know, man. The ocean is, if I see something big moving, I might lose it. you know. Scale 1 to 10, wanting to try this. 10 being I would absolutely want to try this. 1 being I would never in my life consider it. Wouldn't do it for $10,000. I would put this at like, an 8, probably because
I'd be a little under that, maybe like a 6 or 7.
it's probably go ahead.
I wouldn't really want to do that currently, but it's definitely something that I'd want to do later in
That you'd
life.
want to try, yeah.
Yes.
It's
on my bucket list.
Yeah. I think it's partially because I'm so afraid of the ocean and the stuff inside of it, and I've done it's snorkeling. I've done snorkeling, and you're like, what, like in a pool? No, I've done snorkeling like off the coast of some beaches and stuff. Like we go out in a boat, and they're like, look at the reef, and you put a snorkel in, and you're like 3 feet away from the coral reef, but you can't touch it because that hurts the coral reef. You're just looking at it, and it was super pretty, and the water was super warm, and that was all nice and stuff. But then I looked like out to where it like really dropped off, and I'm like, I'd like to go now, please. So scuba diving, it would be bittersweet for me because obviously, like, what is it, like 95% of the Earth's oceans aren't mapped. So there's like, you can see really beautiful stuff that's out there, but also in that 95% is creatures that we don't even know exist. And that kind of scares me. Like, have you played Subnautica?
Oh yeah.
I can't play that game, man. It's too scary.
There's a really old game. I can't remember the name, but it was just you were this person on this boat who would do like ocean exploration, and the whole like the creators of this game were so terrible because you're like scuba diving down in the ocean, like every time you enter a deep cave there would be like a giant shark just jump scare, and it pissed me off so much,
dude.
But that just reinforces my scare, or like my fear of the ocean.
Yeah. Is it thalassophobia, I think it's called? Is the fear of the ocean? Yeah. But it's because the ocean has so much space, is what it is. It's because you can grow, like a fish can grow as big as it wants because there's so much space in the ocean. Like the megalodon was, how big were megalodons? They're extinct now, thankfully. But megalodons, which were like the biggest sharks of all time, were 18 meters, 15 to 18 meters, which in American is 49 feet, 49 to 6, so basically 50 to 60 feet. A 50 to 60 feet shark coming at you in the darkness, just out of the darkness.
In the darkness.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's very scary because, just because the water is more dense than the air, the light just can't travel down too far, and once you get to a certain depth, it's just darkness.
It's pitch black. Yeah, that's why that is complete darkness.
And everything from there on is just jump scares.
Yeah, honestly, like you've seen the deep sea creatures and how messed up they look. It's because no one cares down there. They can look however they want because there's simply no light. They're just terrifying. And every single month, scientists they're always so pleased. They're always like so happy. They're like, look what fish we just found at the bottom of the ocean. Look what new species we just found. And they show you a picture of it, and it is the most disgusting, ugly fish you've ever seen. And then they have to tell you some facts about it. Like, did you know this fish shoots laser particles out of its ass to hunt? And you're like, we didn't need to know that, scientist. Shouldn't
you know
like,
that just getting pricked by this one small like animal at the bottom of the ocean can kill like 20 people in like 10 seconds.
Exactly, and you're like, oh, cool, I'm
That's
so glad this
know.
exists. Yeah. But man, it's always that You know what I'm the most afraid of?
What?
Mermaids. Because they're fast, they can grow big, and they look like humans partially. But here's my theory. If fish get more and more messed up the lower down they are, mermaids also get more messed up the lower down they are. You know? So you can get some messed up mermaids that like look half human, half anglerfish. You know what I'm talking about? Stuff like that. That'd be terrifying. That'd be terrifying. But anyways, scuba diving, extreme sport, threat of equipment
we
failure.
went from like non-fiction just extreme sport to fiction mermaids. So
as far as we know, fiction mermaids, 95% of it doesn't hasn't
Is
been
it really
mapped.
95%?
I think it is 95%. How much of the Earth's oceans have been explored?
Oh, yep, it is.
Yep, 95%. Think
We've
about it.
explored 5%. That's crazy.
Man, and stuff has been in the ocean longer. You know, so like mermaids, like evolutionarily, maybe it wouldn't make sense, but if you think about it, there has been a lot more time for evolution under the water than there has been on land because life started in the water. So evolution has been running its course in the water. So there's probably stuff that is extremely evolved in the water, like crabs. Aren't crabs like the most evolved thing? Like, and by that I mean they have the most economically perfect bodies because they have armor and they don't use energy as they move. Like, there's something about that, about how crabs are very evolved and very efficient. But I don't know.
Oh, actually, I think it's gone down to like 80% now.
It's gone down to 80%. Okay.
Like we haven't explored 80% now, so we've actually gone to 20, I believe.
Yeah, but still 80%. 80%. It's crazy because anything could be out there. But anyways, yeah, scuba diving. Yeah, we went from like, your equipment might not be good to there could be extremely evolved crab mermaids that kill you in complete pitch blackness as a 50-foot shark just eats you whole, you know. But yeah, scuba diving, extreme sport. Next up, we get to skydiving, so a different kind of diving. Skydiving, I know a decent amount of people that have done this. My dad has gone skydiving, I want to say 2 or 3 times. It might be more than that. But I think one time he did it tandem, which is you have an expert and you basically attach yourself to him, so you're sitting in this guy's lap, and then you guys both jump out of a plane together and you're not doing anything. You're just sitting in this guy's lap all the way down, and he orchestrates the parachutes and all of that. But what these guys are doing here is they're doing it just by themselves. Like, they're not doing it tandem. That means that you're in charge of your own equipment. They give you a course.
If you want to die, it's your choice.
I think it's anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks of training, or I think it's actually counted in hours. So I think it's like, I don't know. I actually don't know. Let me see. Jamie, pull that up. Let me see if I can figure it out. Skydiving training hours. Wow. 8 hours. You only need 8 hours of training?
Well, you can do it longer than 8 hours.
Yeah, I would do it longer than 8 hours. Yeah, before you even start jumping, you'll need to complete ground training, which takes 6 to 8 hours. So then there's probably other stuff, but that's pretty low, actually.
I feel like half of what you're told is probably told when you're going up in the airplane or helicopter.
Like,
just to make it scary.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
and by the way, yeah, like this is how you open your parachute, and you're like, I had no idea. You know, but this is, I would put this at a 10 of wanting to do it. I would absolutely.
For me, this is below a 5. I will tell you.
Below a 5. Wow. Are you scared of heights?
kind of, but not really. The only thing I'm afraid of was when the one story I've heard of skydiving, because really, actually I've heard a couple, but when my dad went skydiving, his first parachute didn't work, and I'm like, oh, that's nice.
Oh.
But I am here today, so that means that his second one did work. So, when I was on a trip in Alaska, I met some people who had actually gone on over like 130 drops.
Damn.
So, yeah, they were in the military, and like,
yeah,
they just, since then, since they served, and after they served, they've gone on like 130 like parachute drops together.
That's at that point it has to feel natural.
Yeah,
at that point.
just flopping out of an airplane just feels natural.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting.
Dude, skydiving is like, what's human terminal velocity? I don't think you hit terminal velocity unless you're really trying to, because you're not going like straight perpendicular to the ground. But human terminal velocity is about 200 kilometers per hour, which is 120 miles per hour. Oh wait, no, that is okay. So if you're going perpendicular, you hit around 120 miles per hour. But if you're going like straight head down at the earth, I meant parallel. Perpendicular is when you're going straight down. So parallel 120 miles per hour. Perpendicular, you're going like, you can hit like 180 miles per hour. So that's pretty fast, you know.
Well, yeah. I have a question.
Yeah.
With squirrel shooting, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think that can be counted like in this category of like
definitely
extreme sports with skydiving, especially. I know we don't cover that, but I definitely think squirrel shooting is probably more of an extreme sport than I think skydiving is.
Oh yeah,
because
definitely.
You're controlling where you're moving, and if you're going close to the ground like a daredevil, you could hit the ground.
Yeah. So
or hit something while flying.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, it says Skydiving Variants. So yeah, we're gonna talk about the different kinds of skydiving. I said the standard skydive, which is you just like jump out and you're taking care of yourself. I talked about the tandem one. But what these guys seem like they could either be doing a standard or a formation jump. And a formation jump is when you guys are falling and you try to build like formations in the air, like everybody make a circle as you're going down, make a star, stuff like that. Then there's free flying, which is kind of like aerial acrobatics, which is like when you can start trying to do flips and just having fun, you know, going through the air, stuff like that. That's definitely getting more into the extreme sport. And then when you get into wingsuit and squirrel suit flying, that I've seen people do through like cities. Have you seen those videos? When people,
no, I haven't.
Sometimes people will just do that through a city. Like they'll just be going over Chicago, weaving past buildings and stuff. It's crazy. That's definitely an extreme sport, because if the wind blows wrong, you just smack into a building, and there's not much you can do, you know? I know my dad wants to go squirrel shooting at some point.
That's very intense.
Yeah, and then there's base jumping, which is usually like around cliffs or bridges.
Base jumping is something I think I'd rather do.
Rather do than skydiving?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I think I'm with you there, actually, because it's like it's like closer to the land that you can actually like kind of enjoy the land, you know? When you're just going out of a plane, like it kind of looks fake. It's so far away.
I mean, is it more of a rush, do you think, or is it less?
Ooh.
Because
I mean,
you can see the oncoming approach of the ground.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I honestly can't say which one would be more of a rush, base jumping or skydiving. I feel like going up in a plane, like the act of jumping out of a plane, is probably more of an initial rush than just jumping off of a cliff. But
yeah.
But I think
like
you might get bored
of, like
halfway through skydiving, you know?
You get bored just falling.
Yeah. I don't know. But I do agree with you. I do think base jumping might be a little bit more fun. But yeah, so those are the different kinds of skydiving. Obviously, like honestly, it's kind of like they give you two parachutes, like you were saying, like the story with your dad. The second one isn't as good, so I've heard. It's more like just serves its purpose, but you kind of hit the ground a little harder. Um, but the sorry for the motorcycle outside, but I don't know. I would definitely love to try this because it taps into the human fear of either I just fell off a cliff or I just jumped out of a plane. You know. But I would definitely like to try this. Honestly, skydiving versus scuba diving, I think scuba diving is more dangerous because skydiving or base jumping has all of these protocols, and like usually you're with people and stuff like that.
Scuba diving, you're like with one other person.
Scuba diving, you're with like one to like maybe 6, 7 other people, and I feel like you can do more things wrong that will result in you dying in scuba diving. Like if you went up too fast, or you get tangled in your rope, or you accidentally open your oxygen tank and you get blown out into the sea. In skydiving, you have a parachute and like a camera. Like what else do you have on you?
Parachute.
I think
And that's practically it.
Yeah, I think it's just a parachute. So as long as you don't mess up your parachute, you're gonna be good. Unless your parachute fails, but then you have the second one. So I feel like scuba diving is more dangerous than skydiving. You know. But next up, we're going to talk about another thing that Derek has done, which he was talking about earlier, which is parkour / free running / tricking. So tell us about the difference between those.
Okay, so parkour is something that was created for military purposes. So it was like fastest from point A to point B. You can do anything to get there, just get there as fast as possible. Take the shortest route, quickest route. And that's pretty much what parkour was. And free running and tricking were like, tricking is the farthest thing away from parkour. So next is free running, which is practically, you don't need to get there as fast, but just make it look flashy, make it look cool, do cool flips while doing that. And then tricking is not even like point A to point B anymore. It's just cool stuff, cool flips, anything. Just do it like consecutively.
Yeah,
just
that's like
cool.
it's like a floor routine, right? It's the closest thing to like.
Well, in competitions, yeah, it's like a floor routine.
Yeah.
And then like if you have like a free running competition, that's more of like an obstacle course kind of thing. So.
Yeah. This I've always envied this. I actually used to do like kind of parkour, but it really wasn't like to any extreme level. That honestly was just like for like literally what you said, get from point A to point B as quickly as possible. And I could still like vault and do stuff, but honestly that's not like really difficult. And like if you give me a trampoline, I might be able to like do like a flip. But with free running, that's the one that I've always been like, look at that, because like
it's pretty sick.
Yeah, the guys on the far right picture are just jumping around a city. That's like a high level free running, and that's what makes it an extreme sport. Is that you just jump around buildings like Spider-Man, or you're going through stuff. There are literally hundreds to thousands of videos on YouTube, and you can just type up free running through and then enter any city you want, and I guarantee there is a person in there that's like, check this out. It's them like running through abandoned buildings, flipping, jumping from level to level, stuff like that. That's so cool to me. And it's like incredible exercise because you literally work every muscle group when you're doing
it. Yeah, it definitely is.
But tricking is awesome. Derek, I looked up when I was on call with you earlier. I looked up a video of a tricking competition. To everyone watching, you should absolutely search that up because they're doing crazy flips, and you know they're doing all this flashy stuff, and it looks
Oh yeah,
so
if
cool.
you do search it up,
Yeah.
people at home, the best person I think to watch is Shosei Iwamoto.
Mhm.
He's a Japanese tricking person. I think he's the same age as I am,
Wow.
and he's just the best. He's currently the best tricker in the world.
Damn.
He's great.
Do you feel like
Here, wait, let
being
me
yeah.
show. Um, y- yeah, you spell it Shoes. No,
Mhm.
Shoseiiwamotm or OTO. And
There you go.
let's see how old he is. He is, yeah, he's the tricking world champion currently,
Mhm.
and his age, he is, I believe, like 14 or 15 right now.
Wow.
Yeah, he's 15 right now. Yeah, and he won the tricking world tournament when he was 14. So
Damn.
obviously, tricking really doesn't matter on age. So
Do you feel like because he has to be smaller just because he's 14? Do you feel like having a smaller frame helps you trick better?
um, let's. I guess if you have a very good like weight to strength ratio, it can help.
Hmm. Yeah. Um.
But usually if you're a bigger person, it's your strength is really gonna match your weight.
So you did free running slash tricking for 7 years, or how
Um,
long did you do that for?
yeah, 7 years is accurate. But yeah, I really just started after my brother did it. I got interested in it and just kept on doing it like year through year, just constantly.
How
It was
far
really fun.
how far did you get? Did you do like any competitions or championships?
The way I did it wasn't really competitions. It was just
Mhm.
practicing, just I guess all the vaults and tricks that I can do, and really just a lot of practice with just controlling your body, which actually led it a lot into diving.
Yeah. Oh no,
So
one
it
hundred
helped me
percent.
a lot
That's
with
super
that.
valuable. Um, like
You just like
yeah,
I gained a ton of air awareness, which is really useful.
yeah, yeah. No, that's that. No, like honestly, a lot of people think that like if you don't go into competitions or you don't like if you're not like top ranked, then you're not doing it well enough. But stuff that you just get into a group and you guys just practice doing
No,
it
yeah, it's like
for the love of
really is
doing it.
fun social activity that
Honestly,
I did, yeah.
yeah, I mean, think about it. Like, you and your friends are just able at the drop of a hat to just do, like, backflips on the pavement and stuff like that, or, like, run up a wall. And, like, you call up your buddy, you're like, hey, Derek, do you want to run through Detroit today? And you guys just do that. You're jumping across buildings. So that's so cool. Honestly, this would be, like, I know I put skydiving at a 10, but if here, I'll knock skydiving and base jumping down to like an 8. I would say that tricking, free running, if I could learn that, because
No, yeah,
I'm
it's
kind of
definitely a
like,
great thing to do because you
yeah,
don't need any equipment. It's just your body, and just trying to do whatever
yeah.
you want.
I'm not too light on my feet. Like, I don't think I have too much agility. But I feel like if I trained at it, I could definitely get a little more agile. So I would put this at a
Yeah.
10 because to be able to just like parkour around and stuff. And then like there have been a couple situations where I have been able to like bust a move and get out of somewhere like really quickly.
What
Um,
situation was this?
Honestly, like most of those situations have just been like someone wants us to get out of an area quickly. Like at camp, if we one of my camps was in the middle of the Berkshires in Massachusetts, which are mountains. So we're up in the mountains in Massachusetts, um, and bears would come onto the campus quite a bit. So if you're like eating at the dining hall, um,
You just gotta run away from the bear.
Yeah, well, what would happen is that the director of the camp would come over the intercom and be like, "Bear!"
Bear.
And everyone would get up and be like, "Let's go!" And, you know, sometimes doors are blocked and stuff. So I would be, like, jumping over tables and stuff because everyone just loses their mind. Everyone's like, "Bear!" And,
How
you know,
often
you know,
does this
that.
happen?
That probably happened. Well, I went there for 3 years. It probably happened a total of, like, eight to nine times over those 3 years. Um,
Definitely an interesting camp.
no, oh my, I have so many stories from that camp, but other stuff too. Like if you're late to do something, you know, being agile really does help you. You know, um, probably the most agile. Actually, you know what? We're gonna talk about that later, so I will talk about that later. But when I do climbing, like rock climbing or like just climbing large structures without equipment, I feel like that's when my agility helps me the most. But you know, stuff like this, just running around a city or just flipping with your buds, that's so fun.
Yeah.
Honestly, so I'd definitely throw that out of
And
10.
a ton of the people that I was doing this uh, parkour with, we all love to use the trampoline, which you obviously,
Mhm.
I bet a ton of people see. Like if you have a trampoline at home, we would just hop over to someone's house and just jump on the trampoline, just try and do as many crazy tricks as possible.
Yeah.
It's a ton of fun.
Yeah, and I think that's why I'm so drawn to free running and tricking, because there isn't rules necessarily, because you dictate what you do. Like in diving, like you have to, like, you know, be judged on your form and stuff like that, and it's like
Oh yeah.
if you land poorly like that, the only rule in free running and tricking is like don't kill yourself, you know. And I respect that. I definitely respect that. But now we can head over to some surfing variants. So obviously you've seen videos of people surfing, whether it's in a Beach Boys video or you're watching, um, I don't know, does Jason Momoa surf? I feel like he would surf. There's a guy that plays Aquaman in the Justice League
No, yeah,
movies.
surfing is a ton of fun.
Yeah.
I have relatives in California, so I've actually gone surfing quite a bit.
You've gone, how was it?
It's so much fun.
Nice.
Yeah, it's the reason. One of the reasons why my brother is going out to California to go to school is so he can just, after school is over, he can just surf.
Nice.
That's one of his reasons for going to California.
Honestly,
Also nice
yeah.
weather and nice schools there. So.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, surfing off like where would he go? Is he off like San Diego, or
What? Yeah, yeah.
he's in San Diego?
That's where our relatives are. So
Yeah.
probably somewhere close.
Yeah. Yeah, the waves out there are crazy. When I'm in San Francisco, the waves out there are like way worse than San Diego because of the like temperature and, you know, like the currents and stuff, but still you get some decent waves. But you know, honestly, to be able to just go through a wave is really nice, you know, and like
Very satisfying. Yeah.
very satisfying. And when you see, and the thing is that if you fail, if you mess up, you're just gonna fall into the water, you know. So you're not
Mhm.
like, I feel like injuries aren't as bad in surfing, you
And
know.
if you don't want to do surfing because the sharks aren't a problem.
Yeah, yeah, and sharks, just in general, sharks really aren't a problem unless they're 40 to 50 feet long and they come
40
at
to
you.
50 feet long, and
Yeah,
then they're coming straight at you, just trying to eat your board
exactly.
and you whole. Yep.
Yeah. But the other variants we have here, that's parasailing, I believe, down on the bottom left. Um, and you know that's with an actual sail, like you get revved up on a boat and then you detach from the boat and then you just basically have a parachute and all that. I feel like I could never do that because I would be so tempted to just jump off the board and just hang glide on the parachute for as long as it would let me, you know. But the other one there is water skiing, but there's also wakeboarding and kneeboarding, and I've done all three of those. Those are really fun.
Wait, wake surfing? Did you mention that?
I haven't. No, I didn't say wake surfing. But
Wake
what's
surfing
wake
is
surfing?
just wake surfing is it's a special kind of boat you need for it though, so it's a different kind of sport.
Hmm.
So you're behind a boat that makes a wake, and this wake is surfable. So you first get up on it with a rope, and then you throw the rope at the boat, and you just surf behind without anything.
Dope.
It's really fun.
Dope.
I've had the chance to try it a couple times, and it's so much fun.
Yeah. Um, yeah, no. When I was doing I like kneeboarding. Probably because I'm the best at it out of kneeboarding, wakeboarding, and water skiing. I feel like I'm the best at kneeboarding because it's kind of the simplest. You're on basically a board and you start, and the rope is kind of attached to your board, and then the boat starts going and it starts picking up, and then when it gets to speed, then you have to pick up the rope from the board, and then you have to hold it, and then that's how you get into it. But I mean, all of these are so fun again because like I've gotten launched off the board, you know, and I gotten thrown across a lake, and you know, literally no damage was done. So as long as you're in a safe location without rocks or anything, you can get thrown like I must have gotten thrown like 50 feet, honestly, because it's like just like when
That
your
is
boat picks up insane speeds. And at some point, this was also at the camp, we would we would actively try to just go as far as we can. Like we would wait for the boat to go and like to turn and for us to hit the wake that the boat makes. And at the top of it we would just jump and just see how far we can go. Um oh yeah, that's super fun.
sounds like a lot of fun though.
It's so fun, especially if you just do the standard rafting or inner or tubing or whatever it's called. Is when you get a big tube, like a big inflatable tube, and that's also attached to the back of the boat, and then you guys are just in the boat. What we would do is we would flip the tube, so we would like it would hit the wake and we would flip it and we'd try to flip it back in the air. You know, but it would really never work because we were all upside down when the tube flipped, so we would just end up getting kind of squashed into the water. But even that was super fun. Probably just because it's so fast. You know, it's so fast and it's relatively safe.
Have you
But
seen the videos of the flying tubes?
I've not seen the videos of the flying
You should
tubes.
definitely search that up. It's so funny because the tube just catches the air and it just starts just flying behind the boat, and you see someone
Yeah,
fall
yeah.
off of
No,
it.
that happened to us so many times. You know, if like it caught the wind just right and you hit the wake, you would catch air for like a while. But
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
I feel like it's still an extreme sport because if you do a
Depending
competition,
on your driver, it could be an extreme sport.
yeah.
So,
um, if you're doing a competition, that's when you need to do some surfing and some stuff, and that's when there's skill because it is so hard to stay on a board in the water, you know, because it's water, man. But I digress. But yeah, surfing variants and all of those are just so fun. Next up, we got skiing. Skiing is, you guys all know what it is. It's just you strap two boards to your feet and you go down a mountain. I've done this. I was skiing for like 4 years. Have you been skiing?
but yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've skied for quite a long time. Since I think since age 2. So,
Damn. Yeah. My dad has done snowboarding. He does snowboarding, and I think he's done that for like over 10 years. Probably it has to be longer than that because he like only goes on black diamonds, like double black diamond courses, which are the hardest courses. Um, and every year he goes out with like his friends who are also very proficient at skiing or snowboarding, and they all go out to Tahoe or Utah, like Salt Lake City,
oh yeah,
and
that's where I ski.
yeah,
It's
and
great.
just to go down the slopes there. But you can pick
Eh,
up insane speed, you know.
No, yeah, I think the fastest I've gone, we always raced, and we
Yeah.
have this app which helps us tell our speed if we have our phone with us.
Hmm.
So I think the fastest was like 70 something for me.
Wow.
So
That's
it
crazy.
yeah, on a highway I'd be passing some people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That was always our thing. We would try and like see who would go the fastest, but and in the end of the day, just really shouldn't be going that fast because it endangers people around you. So only
um,
do that if there aren't any people.
Out of anything, I've been hurt the most skiing. I've done both skiing and snowboarding, and I'm okay at both. But I have just been smacked around on some mountains. You know, there has been some instances where I took the wrong ski lift up, so I ended up on like a black diamond course, like
Ah,
at the age of like 12, and by that time I was not where I am now, and I would just be like, "Welp," and I would end up going down that
oh,
entire course like on my ass, you know, like on my hands, because it's just so crazy. My biggest fear is that I would like on some of the courses that I went on. There was always like the threat of you get off the course and you just go into the trees. That's the scariest thing.
oh no, the trees. I know my sister's completely afraid of the trees,
Hmm.
but the trees are one of the best parts. I think
Why?
on like powder days, that's where everything is. You just go in the trees, and it's just very nice powder. I don't
Yeah,
know what it is, but it's just trees are a great addition. But unless you're a tree hugger, you really don't want to go.
yeah. No,
Which my
I
sister
can't
is.
do that.
She hugs trees all the time. Her hobby.
Mm.
Whenever we go in the trees, she just grabs a tree
Yep.
at like 20 miles per hour.
Oh my god. Yeah, man. You need to be skilled at that to start doing trees and stuff like that. But um,
Yeah, yeah. Definitely something you need to do
yeah,
when you get good at it.
you can get really into skiing and snowboarding.
Yeah.
Like winter sports, and we're gonna talk about the Olympics later. Winter sports, they get tough. Like you can go all in on winter sports because think about it. Like if you ski and you hit a jump, you can do flips, you can do whatever, and like you land and you keep going. Again, there's videos of people just skiing and they have an insane course set up where they actually go through like houses and stuff. It's crazy. Um, but once you get good at it, it's really just like doing any other extreme sport because you can just have fun with it, you know? And
Mhm.
again, that's another thing, like what my dad does. If you get 6 to 7 other guys or other girls or other people, you guys can just have fun, you know, going down a mountain. Like you were like raised like to see who can go the fastest or like
Mhm.
compare it to the highway. Once you get good enough, you can just like do that on a regular basis, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what the best thing is. Once you get at a high skill level, the best possible thing is for your friends to
Well, no,
also be at that high
it's
skill
just
level.
you can have more fun when you have a higher amount of skill.
Yeah,
If you're better at some if you're better at something, you're gonna have more fun with it.
exactly. But yeah, skiing, snowboarding, it's fun. It's a hundred
Yeah.
percent fun and physically exerting and great exercise for your legs, for your core. I remember that because I would like you have to turn kind of with your core, stuff like that. But next up, we're gonna hit on what I kind of do. And out of anything on this list, I feel like I am the best at this. This is mountaineering, aka, or you can also under this category put rock climbing or just climbing in general. Um, I'm definitely decent at this. Like, I have we have a trip planned out. It didn't happen this year because of like COVID and all that stuff, but we're going to go to Alaska and climb a glacier, and I'm really excited for
Oh,
that.
that's sick.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that trip, man, when that can happen. But um, I've been climbing for probably ever since I was 6. So I've been doing it a very long time. Um, I go on hikes occasionally, like with my mom, or like to walk the dog and stuff like that. and there will just be rocks, like massive boulders out there, and I can just get all the way up to the top of it, you know?
That's
And that's obviously, that is not high risk or anything because it's just a boulder in the middle of the woods. But the thing is that I'm doing it with no equipment, and if like there's
so
an
bouldering.
actual, that's more like bouldering, but I can also do like actual like go up a cliff, you know, stuff like that. And that's really cool because like there's mountains everywhere. And with mountaineering, like you should use gear. Some people don't use gear. That's really extreme. But even if you do use gear, that's also pretty extreme because you know if it fails, you're falling off a mountain. Obviously,
Yeah.
obviously, the white whale of mountaineering is Mount Everest. I don't even know how many people have died on Mount Everest. Let me see.
Probably a lot.
Probably 300 people have died attempting to reach the summit. And they're like, oh yeah, and they don't decompose. The bodies don't decompose because it's so high up. So there's like hundreds of bodies just on it. That's got to be intense.
Clean up the bodies?
I,
Or do we just,
I,
or
I
did they
don't-
just leave them?
Like, can you even like get up there to clean them?
Yeah, actually, that'd be a waste of effort and maybe more lives.
Yeah, man, that's crazy though. Have you ever done any kind of climbing, bouldering, mountaineering?
Yeah. We would do some climbing here at Westport, or yeah, we would go to this place that had rock climbing like indoor,
Mm-hmm.
and but I've actually done it out in Utah as well, but we did it with the rope.
I would love to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have rappelled down some pretty big things as well. And that's rappelling is when you like jump off the wall and you hit it down and you keep going down. It did that through a waterfall, which was like
Oh,
it
that's
sounds
great.
sick, but it just gets you wet. Honestly, it's just water. It's like a bucket of water. It's just getting poured on you as you go down a rock. But that was like 200 feet high, so that was really nice. Um, what else of it? I've just like climbed up cliffs and just jumped off them like with water at the bottom. There's like water at the bottom, so I'm not like just
Yeah.
jumping off cliffs in the middle of nowhere. But those have been pretty high. Stuff like that, man. Just
Yeah.
and that's I feel like we were saying earlier, once you get good at something, you can enjoy it more. 100% true. Because when I started climbing at like 6, I would get to the top and be like disgusting. I'd be sweaty and like in pain and stuff. But now I can like go all the way up something and you know, still feel good that I did it. But yeah, no, mountaineering's cool. Just because once you learn how to climb, because not a lot of people know how to climb, because you need to have strength in your fingertips and your toes. Once you learn how to do that, then you can just Assassin's Creed all over the place. You know?
Assassin's Creed, yeah.
But yeah, all right. I think that's gonna do it for that. So next up we have martial arts.
Yeah.
Man, so I said parkour, free running, tricking, definitely a 10. I know we've stopped ranking them probably just because we've actually done them, but for martial arts, I feel like I respect this one to like an extreme degree. Like all of these, I respect. If you're good at any of these, like you are like a great athlete, and you are a different. You're just built different because you're doing
Built
an
different.
extreme sport. Yeah, you're knowingly going into an area of risk, and you're performing at a high level. But martial arts really just exemplifies that fact because you need to have form, you need to be tough, you need to be driven, and all that. Like up here we have, I don't watch UFC, so obviously on this list I only know Conor McGregor because he tattooed his own name across his chest. But the guy on the far right, I'm not sure if that's Mike Tyson, but I know a lot of people are gonna be angry at me for not knowing who these people are. But in the bottom right, that's the Undertaker, because I do watch a little WWE from now and then. Even though, yes, I know it's fake, but those guys, like, if you watch the heavyweight, they actually kind of pull off some crazy stuff. But then if you watch the lightweight stuff, like the under heavyweight stuff, they can do some pretty nice flips and stuff like that. But martial arts, there's so many different forms, because like every culture has a martial art, because you need to learn, like back then you needed to learn how to defend yourself, and there weren't that many weapons and stuff like that. So I think honestly, it helps you learn the culture. I used to do jujitsu, jujitsu with wrestling. So that is basically grappling. So you can call it that. And Derek, you were saying that you did karate and something else. What was that?
We did karate. No, it was pretty much just karate, but we did it at a multitude of different places because the first one closed down, and then the second one closed down, both because the person had cancer, which I think he's fine now, but it was not looking good for a while. But I did it for quite a while, and it was something that I did as like a kid because my parents were like, you should know how to defend yourself. So we did it for like most of our childhood, and it was actually a lot of fun. Just a lot of physical like movement and just activity, and I think it was just a good experience that I think most people should have.
Yeah, no, honestly, I have been a strong advocate for switching PE out for something else, because I mean, like, especially now, think about it. What are we doing in PE, Derek? We're not doing anything,
I actually haven't taken a PE class yet this year because I'm taking lifeguarding.
Exactly. He's not even doing anything.
But I hear that in PE, since some people are like fully online, they're just filling out like wellness sheets.
Yep, that's literally what it is. But even before the pandemic, PE is nothing. It's like sometimes, like you run laps, and sometimes you play basketball, and that's what PE is.
Well, yeah, you're not really learning anything.
Yeah.
You're just gauging your physical ability, I guess.
Yeah.
If you're not doing like out of school sports or anything like that.
Exactly. I feel like if we subbed PE out for some form of martial arts, that'd be
sick.
It'd be sick, because then there you go, boom, you have an entire generation of people that can defend themselves without a weapon, because usually you're not gonna have a weapon on you, so being able to defend yourself with that one is important. And like I said earlier, there are so many styles of martial arts. My dad used to do judo, and when I was younger, I used to do taekwondo, just because there's a place near us. I did that with Michael Jam, and that was fun. I don't even know. I think I got up to like orange belt before I was like, I'm not. Like, what is the point, But back then I didn't know. I wish I had continued at doing stuff like that. But I do want to get back into it. And I think, like UFC style stuff, like boxing, MMA, like mixed martial arts, stuff like that. I feel like that is super, like, just useful in general, And it keeps you in shape, because you can do stuff in martial arts that exercises every part of your body. So this, I know I've been ranking everything out of 10, but this would be at a 10.
A 10 for everyone.
10 for everyone. Yeah, honestly, I feel like everyone should know, like, just the basics of a martial art, because it can be used as a workout routine. It can be used as a therapeutic thing, getting energy out. It can be used as self-defense, honestly. But But then you get to why it is an extreme sport, and the reason why it's an extreme sport is because if you're competing, that means someone is throwing punches and or kicks at your direction, and you need to dodge
They're
them.
like all their knowledge to like beat you to a pulp.
Exactly.
Well, it depends on the sport actually, but
Yeah.
a lot of them are about like beating the other opponent, like boxing or like judo or
Yeah, that's why I kind of liked jujitsu, which is grappling, because and we specifically did more like wrestling, because that wasn't like, oh, I'm going to punch you in the face. That was more like, I'm just gonna bend your legs up and around your head until you tell me to stop. You know?
like a big game of mercy.
Exactly. Yeah, that's really what it was. Um, Martial arts like that is really good because then you guys can compete and walk away from it. You know, there's been fights like that Mike Tyson biting off someone's ear, like stuff like that. That's insane. Like, I don't want to come
That's
away
just
from a
violent.
fight without an ear. Like, that's not what I signed up for. But huge respect to anyone that does more. Your sister,
Huge. Oh yeah.
your sister. Tell us about that. Like, she's ranked and stuff.
She's really the only one that continued to do martial arts after like leaving Westport,
Mhm.
Connecticut, which none of us really have done yet.
Mhm.
So she's the only one that has continued doing martial arts in our family, and she did it at her college. And really, what she's done is work with the bow staff and work with the commas. If any of you know, they're like dual scythes,
Yeah.
and it's really sick.
Huge respect to that. Huge respect because
Weapons.
yeah, weapons and bow staffs, they're so cool. Stick fighting, stuff like that. That's great. Honestly, martial arts are they're honestly just there's something to them. When you get two masters in a fight against each other, it's like watching. I don't even know. Yeah, there's like nothing really to describe it because it's kind of like they're speaking a language, you know, like with the counters and blows and stuff like that. They're trying to, they're able to show their skills off, and like if you just look up MMA Final Championship or WWE, like I know WWE is fake, but if you look up like UFC Final Championship, you're gonna see two masters go at it against each other, and I think that's really cool.
I agree with that. I think that's great.
100%. I think I'm gonna get back into martial arts because it's gonna keep me fit. It's gonna keep me focused because that was the number one thing. Like you learn stuff that you don't expect to learn in martial arts classes. Like if you take specifically Asian style martial arts like karate, taekwondo, judo, aikido, stuff like that, you're going to learn respect as well because you learn to respect your opponent,
Yeah.
stuff like that, and they teach you, oh, if you act in this way, you show respect. If you don't do this, that's disrespect. And you
About discipline. Yeah.
it's exactly that's the perfect word. It's about discipline. If you learn about if you learn more like Western style, like if you learn boxing, if you learn UFC, stuff like that, then you're gonna learn self-respect. You're gonna learn to carry yourself and to like be proud of like your abilities, no matter what skill level you are. Stuff like that. And like for example, in jiu-jitsu class, I learned a couple of different holds. Like I can put someone in an arm bar in like 3 seconds, like stuff like that, you know. But I also learned how to give someone a firm handshake, and it sounds like really dumb, but I was taking this like at a pretty young age, and like we were all super young, and the instructor wanted to teach us like how to carry ourselves, and one of the things was you have to give a strong handshake, and still to this day I give a strong handshake because I learned that in my jiu-jitsu class. You know, and you wouldn't expect to learn that. But that's the thing, is that martial arts and the things that you learn in it can be transcribed to anything else. And
Really, you just get good
no,
life lessons.
yeah, that's really what it is. And it's also fun to just like beat the snot out of someone. But yeah, you learn toughness, you learn how to like get through pain, you learn all that stuff. It's really good, and it's like the old, like if you look at this list, it's like the oldest one on this list. Um, Honestly, I think it is, um, because you gotta learn how to defend yourself, and it's just applicable to so many things. But anyways, next up we got BMX type stuff, also combined with motorcycling. That's next. BMX is another thing where it's like, if you are good at it, you can just flex. BMX is just the hall of flex because you can look up videos again of just people doing insane tricks. Like this guy, he is going higher than that man. He's going higher than that man reaching for his bike. Like he's at such just he was able to get so much height off that jump, and you bet he's going to flip his bike around, do 20 backflips and land it. You know, um, I've always thought this was super fun. Would I like to try it? Probably not, because I'm not too strong of a biker. So I put this at like a 4-ish, like 4 to 6 range. Um, are you good on a bike? Have you done any BMX type stuff?
Not BMX type stuff, but I've done mountain biking and
Mountain biking. That's the,
yeah.
I would
Not
say
at
that's
the level
that's
that
more
Steve
fun.
has done it, where he's doing what does he call it again? It is downhill biking? Yeah, not at
Yeah,
that level.
yeah,
That's I'd say he's most likely to do BMX if one of us did.
yeah. Um, but BMX is super fun because that's another thing where you just get to see people. I feel like there's like lots of different categories of sports. BMX falls under the category of sports, extreme sports that let you self-express. Like that's one of the things about martial arts is you can't really self-express to a certain degree. Like you can have signature
Like no,
moves in
martial
like
arts is
mhm.
depends on if you follow
Yeah,
like the exact form.
yeah,
But there's definitely an element of self-expression in martial arts, and there's also in most of these extreme sports that we've covered, I believe there is, except
mhm.
for diving. There's
Except
not
for
really
diving.
self-expression.
Well, no, I think there is to that point because you choose what tricks you want to do. Like,
Well,
well,
yeah, I
like
guess it's like
unless you're
the
being told.
what variety of tricks that you're gonna choose and what.
Yeah, but BMX is kind of the same because you choose like what tricks you want to do, stuff like that. But oh no, I think BMX would be pretty fun, you know, and big respect to the people who do it. Motorcycling is basically part of the same, except it's. I feel like that like if BMX is martial arts, then motorcycling is WWE because this is much more flashy and much more showy, like Evil Knievel jumping over cars
It's just
or stuff like
more
that.
dangerous.
It's much more dangerous. Yeah, and BMX is easily an extreme sport because like again, like if you go back, like look at how high that man is. But motorcycling just takes that to a next level because you'll like people jump through fire on their motorcycle, they'll jump over cars, they'll jump across buildings. That's just
Well,
crazy. And you're going so much faster as well. That's crazy.
just
What'd you say?
um, with motorcycling, is there the here wait, how do I ask this?
Mm.
Um, is there really a like type of motorcycling that you could consider extreme sport? Because motorcycling is just practically a vehicle, but
There are competitions for motorcycling in the same style as BMX.
oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, like it is. Yeah, I didn't really know that it was a thing either. But there's there's obviously motorcycle racing, but then there's also doing tricks on motorcycles, and there are competitions for those. But like I said
Okay.
earlier, Evil Knievel was a stuntman who would do stunts on a motorcycle. That's still kind of around. Not around our part of America, but that's definitely more like I feel southern and stuff where more people have motorcycles and like seeing a high element of danger about that kind of stuff. But yeah, motorcycling has an extreme amount of uh, risk and danger, and even
Danger. It has a big part of that danger factor.
yeah, honestly, and even like just driving a motorcycle normally, like just using it as a means to get somewhere, is also dangerous. It's like the most dangerous method of travel. Like I don't even know the deaths, but yeah, motorcycling again. I probably wouldn't want to try it, even though I do like going fast. So I'd put it at like a 5. You know.
Um,
Yeah. What about you?
for me, motorcycling, like the extreme sport or just driving a motorcycle.
Let's say you just driving a motorcycle.
Um, probably around like a 4 or something, because I'm not particularly interested in just using a different like vehicle for transportation. I believe it just really doesn't matter too much to
I
me.
could see myself having a motorcycle. I've already grown my hair out and stuff. I could just complete the Wolverine look by getting a motorcycle. Um, but doing motorcycling as like a sport, as doing tricks like BMX type stuff, I wouldn't really want to do that. Um, but
Oh yeah,
yeah,
you need to be comfortable with it first,
yeah,
which I don't think either of us are.
definitely
So.
not. All right, next up we have longboarding. This is a shot from the movie, a pretty good movie. I think it's called The Secret Life
Life
of
of Walter Mitty.
Walter Mitty.
Yeah.
Oh, you watched it.
It's a great movie.
Oh, I love this movie. I watched it a while. I think I watched it. Did I watch it when it came out? How old was I? I was like 9. Yeah.
So I'm guessing since you took this picture,
Mhm.
we're probably gonna be talking about not the tricking kind of longboarding, but the downhill, going like.
Yeah.
Got it.
100%. Because that's when you can pick up extreme speed. And there's no version of of downhill longboarding where you have safety equipment. You're like you can have a helmet, you can have pads and stuff, but you're still going like 80 miles per hour, like probably not that fast, but
No, I think it's like
yeah,
40
40
to 60,
40
something
yeah,
like that.
40 to 60 miles per hour.
Depending on who you are, but longboarding, I believe is just really fun way to get from one place to another. I think of everything like parkour now. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
like point
From
A,
point A
B.
to point B, yeah. But no, longboarding, and this is like if I had to rank them about what I do, mountaineering slash bouldering slash climbing, I'm definitely the best at out of anything on this list. Longboarding is definitely second. I do a little bit of longboarding recreationally. We had to do it in gym actually. That was kind of cool, and I actually got pretty good at that. But I feel like longboarding with skateboarding, like going downhill,
It's definitely
it's
a lot.
intense. It's fun because it's intense.
Well, I feel the thing about skateboarding is stopping is the thing that scares a ton of people, and there are many different like ways of stopping, and you just sometimes need you need special equipment, like especially for longboarding, like what is it called, like the blocks in your hands.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what that is? Where you're
No.
able to touch the ground and you're able
Oh
to
yeah,
slide and
yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, those are super cool. Just to be able to like kind of like skate off the ground, like hold your hand down, like all that stuff.
yeah,
and turn.
that's like one of the main ways that people are able to stop because of that.
Yeah, that's super cool. Um,
But
but yeah, no, stuff like this. This is under another category because this. I don't feel like there's too many competitions for longboarding per se, but if you get good at this, you can do this like recreationally.
oh,
100%.
there's actually not really a competition, but there's a great downhill place for longboarding, and each year I'm not sure if they did it this year, but they would always do a kind of like a race down the hill with their longboards, and they'd have like 40 people just going down the same hill, and it's just like a fun activity that they've done on this mountain, just because great activity. And
yeah. Honestly, it's so like I was saying, you can again, this is one of the other ones that if you grab like a bunch of friends and they're also really good at it, you guys can just go, you know. And like this scene from Walter Mitty while it's going through Iceland, and Iceland is obviously known for having some of the most beautiful landscapes on the planet. To be able to go through something like that on a longboard without fear of falling, you know, that's so cool, honestly. But I would rate this at like, you know, a 7 or an 8 because again, you're like, yeah, stopping and all that stuff is tough. And if you hit like a rock, you're it's game. But where would you put this?
Since I already do it regularly like you do, I think I'd put it like somewhere like a 7 or 8.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's super cool.
But like, is a 10 like a definite in the future you'd want to do it?
A 10 is it is near the top of your bucket list.
So yeah, I think 7 would be a good number.
Yeah. But yeah, that's longboarding. Downhill longboarding is basically what we talked about. But now we get on to our next one, and the final extreme sport that we're going to be talking about before we go to the Olympics. Yes, Derek and I have qualified for the Olympics. Gymnastics. Gymnastics are insane. Because when you get to such a high level that, like, okay, just let's analyze these pictures real quick. You have, all the way on the left, you have a guy doing a back bend, you know. It looks like his back is breaking, but, you know, just that in and of itself, not, you know, he's doing a back bend. Then there's a guy standing on top of him, right, T-posing, and standing on his knees, like on his thighs. That is tough. That is really tough. And then on top of the guy T-posing, there's another guy who is sitting just on his shoulders. And then that guy who's sitting on his shoulders is holding up another guy by only his arms. And that guy is basically planking on just his hands. And his legs are out. So the guy on the bottom has to be having like 300 to like 450 pounds on his thighs alone. The other guy has all that weight on his shoulders, and that guy is like just on his hands. That's crazy. Get to the second picture, the one in the middle. You got the girl leaning back. You got the girl upside down, whose foot is getting grabbed by the bottom girl, and then you have a girl just holding on to her leg like it was a ladder, and is just completely straight-laced, pointing towards the sun, just casually hanging off this woman's leg like she's not about to snap it in half. And she's not, because they're just so well trained. Third picture over, you got a girl standing, you know, and holding up another girl. Pretty cool. And then you get another girl who's just grabbing onto her knees and is just doing a split in the air. And these guys are holding this position. Like, this is not a mid-air thing. They're not moving. They're just holding this position.
Wait, what kind of gymnastics is this?
That's like a floor. That's what they do at the Olympics. What are the
group Olympics?
Yeah. What are the?
Because okay, so like the group part of gymnastics is
the group
kind of like building structures with humans.
Yeah,
but
honestly.
I think the solo gymnastics I find more interesting with the bars, the trampolines, and with the floor runs and with the bounce board, and I find those way more interesting because I can. It's kind of like diving in a sense.
That's true.
It relates a lot to it because it's a ton of flips and.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was gonna say it's a lot like tricking, because especially when you're competing, because you're doing you know, flips for a judge, and it's all on the floor and stuff like that. Like I think it was in the last Olympics that Simone Biles like broke all those records by doing those crazy flips, like quadruple backflip, corkscrew, cook an omelet midair, whatever the hell she did, and she got a gold. We're gonna talk about how many golds the U.S. has gotten.
How many omelets she cooked?
Yeah, how many omelets she cooked midair. It was crazy. And gymnastics is just nuts. Like, big respect to anyone that does this. That's another thing. And this is actually kind of why I like getting into the backstories of certain superheroes, because DC in specific makes it a point that a large amount of acrobatic superheroes did gymnastics before they became a superhero or a supervillain. But then there's another thing that a lot of those actually, that they used to be, which is dancers. And dancers almost are, they're similar to gymnastics. And I never really thought about it that way until I started looking at it. But to be a dancer, to be a high level dancer, you need to train your muscles to, spin in weird ways and to hold a decent amount of weight if you're doing a partner dance, stuff like that. So you can go from just being a professional dancer to being a being a gymnast, and then from a gymnast to a martial artist. So you can have this big arc of just doing professional sports.
I guess the skills really just complement each other really well.
Exactly. 100%. And gymnastics are, I don't think I'll ever be able to do like gymnastics at an extreme level, or even at a normal level. Like, I am not aerial, all that stuff. Like, I can't do stuff in the air, stuff like that.
I get that.
But I feel like you would actually be pretty good at gymnastics if you did it for a couple of years, because you could take,
Probably.
Your
because it's a lot of just technique from diving and just air awareness from parkour and diving as well.
Yeah. But and it's also just bulking up in muscle. Like, if you look at all of these people in all these pictures, they have insanely prominent muscles. Like, look at their legs. All of their legs are so buff. It's crazy. But anyways, now we get into the final section, which is the Olympics. So the Olympics, obviously the most extreme, most honored sports competition on the planet. The Olympics started in Greece. What was the first Olympics? The first modern Olympics were also held in Greece, probably to honor the old ones, in 1896. Let me see. First Olympics. All right, that's the 1896 one. But they trace back to Greece. And honestly, I respect it 100%, because whoever in Greece had the idea, hey, this guy is pretty good at jumping. Oh, well, this guy's really good at stringing a bow. Let's see who's the best at each individual activity. And then they all train, and then they throw the best of the best in a pot and see who is the best of the best, That's really cool to me. But now it's because it's the Olympics, and the modern Olympics have opened up to the world. It's now become country against country, but...
Well, yeah, and it's also about, like, this is a huge activity that really, it's about skill and, like, who's better than, and who's the best.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good for a lot of, countries' economics.
Yeah.
Because
if you host
it
the
invites
Olympics
so many people
like
to come, but this was a huge problem for this year because we weren't able to do the Summer Olympics because of COVID. And was it the summer or winter that we're unable to do?
I don't know, but one of them was canceled.
Well, yeah, it's a huge problem for whoever's hosting it this year. Because they spent a ton of money.
Olympics have been canceled. Yeah.
We spent a ton of money just creating the stadium and getting everything ready, and all that money was put to waste because no one's going to be buying tickets to go there because of COVID.
Yeah. So that sucks and stuff. But getting into the difference between the Summer and the Winter Olympics, we have a list of the sports. The Summer Olympics have way more events than the Winter Olympics, but in no way are they more challenging. So we have this big list right here of a bunch of them. You get stuff like archery, and then you also get other stuff like canoeing, and then you get stuff like on a horse, and then cycling, and then fencing, and I guess soccer or slash football is there. Stuff like that. Stuff that can qualify for the Olympics. Weightlifting. I see some martial arts on there, some tennis, wrestling. All this stuff is, I don't know. I just feel like it's super cool because it's like, oh, let's see how well you swim, and then you just find the best swimmer on the planet. Because that's really how you find it. It's just someone just goes to the Olympics, like Usain Bolt is like the fastest man alive, and he's won all the golds and stuff like that. And it's also doing your country proud, because that's how medals are counted. It's per country, and we're gonna show a graph of that later. If I had to choose between participating in the Summer or the Winter Olympics, I would 100% pick the Summer, just because I feel like I would be better at it. But I am not going to the Olympics. Derek, do you think you're going to the Olympics?
Definitely not. I would say that with certainty because I really don't think that the only one that I'd go there for would be diving. And I don't think that I even want to go for college, go to college for diving because diving is so scary. And I don't think I would have like enough courage to do some of the dives like on the 5 meter and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a mental sport, I think.
Yeah.
And you need a lot of like, you need to be very committed to the sport if you want to go to the Olympics for it.
100%. I remember Brendan telling us that his sisters are Division I athletes in rowing, and they have won the world. Like,
yeah,
like one of his sisters was like just the best in the world, like number one in the world. And for rowing or something like that. And we were all like, hey, why aren't they going to the Olympics? And he's like, they don't really need to because they've already won all these other competitions. And just to be able to say, oh, I didn't go to the Olympics because I didn't want to, or I had other stuff going on is crazy to me. But
I agree, but the Olympics, I think it's for really different kind of sport. Different kind of sports-minded people go to the Olympics. Like really competitive, really like committed to their sports. Those kind of people go to the Olympics.
Yeah. But it's crazy. Looking at the Winter Olympic sports, we have, obviously stuff like skiing, bobsleighing, skating, a lot of downhill stuff, as well as like ski jumping and snowboarding, stuff like that. Winter Olympics are fun to watch,
Alright.
America does worse in the Winter Olympics than we do in the Summer Olympics. Obviously, usually the colder countries do better. Like Germany does pretty good, Russia does pretty good, also Japan does pretty good.
For skiing especially, they have some like one of the best like mountains in the world for skiing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great.
Yeah, you got a lot of good athletes from over there.
It's really just like the geometry or geographics of a country, not geometry of a country. Yes, the geometry.
Yeah.
Geometry equals good sports ability.
Exactly. But yeah, again, the Winter Olympics, I would say they are just as challenging as the Summer Olympics. There's just like less activities, but still very fun to watch. Do you think you're going to the Winter Olympics, Derek?
No. Maybe to watch it.
Maybe to watch it. Yeah, be in the stands. But yeah.
You think if we asked Ryan that question, how would he answer?
Ryan. Ooh, I feel like he's
because you're gonna bring him on here for skiing, right?
He was supposed to be here for skiing, but he wasn't able to make it to this one. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how good he thinks
seems really
he is.
Committed to it.
He does. He gets sponsorships for it and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't know how far he wants to take it. I'll ask him that. But now we can go into the medals. And this is basically, it's got some of the countries up there, some of the participating countries. And as you can see, the United States demolishes every other country in um, Olympic golds and Olympic medals overall. If you want an actual number, like that's just total medals. You can see the U.S. is a little bit past 2.8K. So, U.S. gold medals. Yeah, like around 1,000 gold medals. Is crazy.
A lot. Yeah.
It's just like, and I think it's partially because America has a large population, as well
And a
as
large amount of like diversity. And
diverse landscapes and stuff. Like we have good ski mountains.
Well, and the people.
And other stuff.
The
And
people come from
yeah.
all different countries.
Yeah.
But usually those people would not compete for our country if they did. But I definitely get that could influence how we do.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, honestly, I didn't expect it. You know, I expected the U.S. to be kind of up there, but I didn't expect it to be the first, and the first by such an insane margin. Like, if you look at those, America is literally an outlier in that data set. Because, like, if you look at them, like, around Japan is where you start to see that countries are getting more than, like, 400 medals total. And then you keep going, and then it gets to around, like, 900 with the UK. And then just the U.S., like, none of those other countries have even broken 1,000, and the U.S. has more than doubled that. It's just crazy. It's crazy to think.
The U.S. had that much of a margin.
Yeah, no, it's nuts. It's really crazy. But I don't know. You know, proud to be an American. But I'm definitely not gonna go into the Olympics because I got better stuff to do. Oh yeah. Anyways, we're gonna go on to our final thoughts. So all in all, extreme sports exist because humans are good at what they do. Like, I've always found that very fascinating, is that literally anything from the most simple task to the most complicated activity, humans will find a way, if they do it long enough, humans will find a way to make that thing easier for themselves. So, like, take diving at extreme levels. You know, for the average person, that would be very hard to do. But athletes train themselves and they can dive better, like doing flips, and it becomes easier for them, you know?
And, well, it really stays still as a hard thing to do, but
Yeah,
just more consistency is, the higher you go up, the more consistent you get, the harder the moves get, and the more work you need to put in, I think.
Yeah, that's the most interesting thing, is that you can adapt to it, you know? That's the crazy thing.
Here, Seb, I need to go in 5 minutes for
dinner. We're gonna end in like 5 minutes anyways.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, no worries. But just to wrap everything up, I think it's just, honestly, I find it cool because if you look at all of these, we have mapped we started with the ocean, and then we went to the sky, and then we went to the cities, and then we went back to the ocean, and then we did the slopes, and then we did mountains, and then just martial arts, you know. So we've kind of mapped all of Earth, you know, like everything you can do on Earth. And then you get into some smaller stuff like BMX, martial arts, gymnastics, longboarding, stuff you can just do on land, you know, going through that kind of stuff. And I just like how humans have the ability to take an extreme task and make it fun, because if you're good, like we said, if you're really good at an extreme sport, you can have an extreme amount of fun. It's the risk versus reward factor. And that's another thing, is that humans are willing to put themselves in
to have fun.
Yeah, in high risk scenarios. Yeah, exactly.
And one example, aka, is skydiving. There's no reason to do it, yet people love doing it.
Think if we went back to the 1800s, you know, and or when did the first plane came out in the early 1900s, and we sit down with the I'm blanking on the name. Who made the first airplane?
The brothers?
Yeah, the brothers. Well, it's the What brothers. How am I forgetting their name? How am I forgetting their name? I know it's Orville and Wilson, but I'm forgetting their Wilbur and Orville. The Wright brothers. I was forgetting the Wright brothers. We sit down with Wilbur and Orville Wright, and we're like, hey, I know you've just invented this plane on December 17th, 1903, but you know what's really funny is that in a couple of decades, people are going to be jumping out of those things for fun. And they're going to be like, oh, humanity has become deranged, you know? Like, think of what they would have thought of that.
Well, yeah, I think our extreme sports would have, like, in the past, no one would have thought to ever do them, and it would be, like, looked down upon, like, why are you just trying to kill yourself?
Yeah. Well, think about the extreme sports of the past, like in ancient Greece, like Colosseum fighting. That's literally just a fight to the death.
Yeah, they're crazy as well.
Yeah, like, hey, you fight this lion. Let's see how you do. You know.
But really, those weren't important people. Since they were slaves and in the past, they definitely they just did that as a form of entertainment.
Yeah. But humans like to be entertained. Like, think of, like, out of all of these, like, if you watch any competitions of any of these, they're very fun to watch. Because, you know, it's high risk and all that stuff. But it's cool to see someone have that level of skill, you know? But I think that about wraps us up. Extreme sports is really a study in both psychology, physiology, because you have to be in shape to do stuff, and you need to, like, look at what allows humans to do what they do, and like you were saying at the end, kind of geography, because you get places with more mountainous areas. You're going to have people that are better at, like, skiing or climbing, stuff like that. And
it's just where they grow up and what they learn, so pretty much whatever they're near, they're gonna take to.
Yeah, exactly. But,
all right, well, thank you for inviting me here.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for being here. Again, this is Derek, and he's proficient at diving, and he's done free running / tricking for like 7 years. So I think you were fantastic for this, as you've participated in some of these extreme sports, gotten pretty good at them from what I've heard. So I'm super glad that you could be here, that you could join us today.
All right, thank you for inviting me, and see you guys later.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. So again, unfortunately, Max couldn't be here tonight, but he will return in the next episode of the Gravity Max live stream. So I, Sebastian, 128 Seconds, would like to thank you so much for watching, and have a good night. And if you participate in any extreme sports, leave a comment, let us know, tell us about your experience, and we can talk about it on the next live stream. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in a week. Bye-bye.